So we're going to look at the shrimp. So the shrimp is a hugely important movement here. It's one of the most important skills in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Even though you're going to learn it right now, something that you'll be doing from like your first day as a white belt all the way through to black belt and beyond. So the shrimp is also known as the hip escape. It's a hip movement. And the way I like to explain it is it's kind of like the reverse of the bridge. So with our hip bridge, we're moving up, we're driving our hips forwards. The shrimp is moving our hips away. We're escaping our hips, right? So, whereas with my hip bridge, I was driving my hips forwards. Now what I'm looking to do with the shrimp is to move my hips back behind me here, right? So, bridge would be up here, shrimp would be moving backwards. So what I'm doing here, right, I'm turning onto my side. And again, whereas with the bridge I was using my back leg and my shoulder to drive forwards, what I'm looking to do here, right, is to use the same pivot points, the foot and the shoulder. And I'm going to use that movement here to drive my hips backwards. Right, so I'm going from kind of straightened out here, straight body, to kind of a pike position here. Square up here, turn onto my side, I use my outside leg and my bottom shoulder, opposite hip and shoulder, and I move my hips backwards. Here, opposite foot and shoulder, turning towards them, keeping my hands in to protect me here, and push my hips out backwards. From here, I'm aligned, turning to my side here, and then I move my hips as far back as possible. Right. What I'm looking to do is create space with my hip movement here. Right. My hands stay in place, stop the opponent following me. Now there's lots of different reasons why we're going to do this, but one of the simplest ones here would be to imagine my opponent here has got past my legs and is starting to control my upper body. What I'm looking to do here is try and get my guard back, which would be getting my arms and legs back in between me and my opponent here. Now if I was trying to bring my legs back onto my opponent here, you're going to see I'm not quite flexible enough to do that. Right? So what I'm looking to do here is frame against my opponent. I'm going to put my hands on whatever I can get here, or my elbows. I don't want to extend my arms out. And what I'm looking to do, I turn towards him, I plant my foot, I use my shoulder. And now, as I turn, I pike my body here, and I move my hips back. You'll notice here that my bottom foot, my bottom knee, and my bottom elbow are now in connection here. Right? So now I have a frame here, a solid structure. So my opponent now comes back and towards me, he's going to run into this barrier here. Right? He's going to have to break this down, split this, to get back in towards my upper body and control me. So here, if I try and get him away from me, it's hard to push him away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move myself backwards here, bring my knee and my elbow together. Now if I did want to bring my foot back on top, it's a little easier. So, my opponent has got past my legs here. He's on top of me, or he's starting to come down on top of me here. I cannot bring my legs back in front between me and him. My arms are not going to be enough to just push him away. So I'm not going to try and move him, I'm going to move myself. Put my arms in position here. I frame against him if I can, and I use my outside leg and my inside shoulder here. Drive down to the floor and move my hips backwards, and I'll connect my knee to my elbow here. So now we have this basic structure here. My knee and my elbow glued together. I carry a lot of force here. And he's driving in towards me. It's not going to be possible. I can bring this knee back in front here and use that to push him away. So my knees and legs are going to be a lot stronger than just my arms. Right? Or I can hold them in place, use that to move myself away here until I can bring my feet back in between myself and my opponent, which is much safer for me here. So here you'll notice it doesn't move at all. I shrimp away, knee and elbow in place. Here, if I'm not flexible enough to bring my knee or foot back in front here, I shrimp again and make more space, and then I square back up. Feet safely in between my opponent and myself. So when we do this as a drill, all you have to do is shrimp one way, square back up. I shrimp away, I square back up. So my opponent should be in front of me here. He passes around to the outside, I block, I escape here. And then my legs come back in between my opponent and myself. He passes my legs here, he goes around to the side, I move away, bring my legs back in, and I square back up. And it's basic shrimp. We're going to cover different ways to use this, but this is one of the simplest ways, or the simplest applications for the shrimp with a hip escape.